So I just want to do a quick comparison of two recently released micro spinners from two, I would say, solid mid-tier providers. This is the Spinetic X Micro. So basically it's a small version of the Spinetic X spinner. The X spinner is also available in a Y spinner. I prefer the X, so I picked that one up. Costs $25 and it's electroplated brass. This right here is the Boomerang Micro, so basically a smaller version of the Boomerang Mini Pro from 2R Designs. Both run R188 bearings. They are roughly the same size, roughly the same weight. I will say that off the bat, the 2R spins longer. This thing spun almost 5 minutes in a video I posted, which you can check out. But past that, they're pretty similar. I guess the Spinetic Y would be a closer comparison because this is a 3-ended spinner. Not technically a Y spinner, but close enough. But I got the X. So, as for build quality, I would say they're both put together really well, but the fit and finish on the 2R is just at a higher level than the Spinetic. And I guess that makes sense, right? Because the Spinetic costs $25 and the 2R cost $45. So it's almost twice as much for a somewhat similar spinner. Although, as I said, the 2R has a higher level of fit and finish and these really nice brass buttons. So worth keeping that in mind. As for overall comfort, I would say both are a little bit small for me. Although the small size it feels less noticeable on the Spinetic. Maybe it's because it has the 4 ends. Maybe it's because the ends extend a little further. Who knows? But that is, from a size perspective, a little bit more comfortable. But the ends I found are pointy, and that's a fairly common trait with Spinetic spinners. Some people say it doesn't bother them. Some people say, yeah, just hit it with some sandpaper and you're good. Other people say, yeah, that's just a downside of Spinetic. For me, this one is really comfortable. All the edges are really nicely done. Like I said, the level of fit and finish on this 2R is just really, really superb. As for spin time, I already went over this. The Boomerang Micro just goes and goes and goes. It's kind of shocking to see something this small spin for so long. As for aesthetics, this is largely comes down to personal taste, but I have to give it to the Boomerang Micro here. I think this is a really handsome spinner. It's small, but it's still managed to be really nicely proportioned. So yeah, I was gonna grab another spinner, but I don't see anything available. Yeah, it's really nicely proportioned. I think it's a handsome spinner. It loses some designs on the ends, but it has these little carve out wells here, which I think are pretty cool looking. And it's just a classy looking item. The Spinetic is cool looking, kind of high tech, but I really don't like this logo on here. I'm not sure why they do that. And then the logo is not printed quite evenly, which I find to be quite perturbing, although it's super minor. And then it's just sort of, it's more technical looking and less classy overall. So just my personal preference is for the 2R. As for actual quality of the design, I'd say they're roughly even. The Spinetic is really nicely designed. It's extremely functional. For example, it has comfortable buttons with a nice concave design to them. The bearing is under a lock collar, which doesn't look great, but it's actually a really great solution. So that means with no tools, you could remove this bearing and replace it or give it a deep clean. The 2R uses a press foot bearing, which is it looks to be more elegant, but it's actually fairly annoying. So you have to pop that bearing out with a vise or some sort of tool if you ever want to replace it. So again, it looks great and it makes the interior look really simple and clean, but from a functional standpoint, Spinetic definitely has a big advantage over the 2R. And then as for which is more quiet and discreet, since this is a small spinner, and I would imagine discreetness is one of the things you're going for here, I would say there's probably a toss-up. The the Spinetic being black is probably a little bit more discreet. It also comes in a rainbow and a copper and a standard brass, so I wouldn't say that's a rule across the board, but if you do opt for that black electroplated brass, you're getting something that is really low profile, and let's see if you could hear it at all. Nearly silent. The 2R, quite quiet as well, and in brass it's fairly low key. The titanium would be even lower key because that is kind of like a muted gray. The stainless, it also comes in stainless steel, and it's a more of a shiny, bright gray. So I guess if you want something that's a little bit more camouflaged, you can go to the titanium, but now you're looking at something a fair bit more expensive. Lastly, I would just go with pocketability, since these things are probably going to go in your pocket a whole lot. It's one of the reasons you would get a tiny spinner. And then I have to give it to the 2R Boomerang Micro, just because it has all these rounded edges and these nice chamfers. It just it goes into a pocket really well, whereas the Spinetic is just everywhere you go at the end. It's kind of pointy, and even if you disregard these four sharp, or not, sharp-ish edges at the end, this is still something that could kind of press into you, kind of uncomfortable in an uncomfortable way. Whereas this thing is just really smooth and really nice. So as for last, which one do I prefer? Between the two, I have to say I prefer the Boomerang. I just really like the Boomerang. I like the mini Boomerang, which is larger than this. So I like the Micro Boomerang. I would say at the end of the day, I think they're both a little bit small for me. So I'm not quite sure I love either of them, but I do prefer the Boomerang, and that's independent of cost. Once you factor in the cost and consider that the Boomerang is twice as expensive as the Spinetic, I feel like most people are going to be happy with the Spinetic. If you like the X, get the X. If you like the Y, get the Y. I think the Y looks a little strange, but whatever. Different strokes for different folks. But for $25, this thing is really quite a good pickup, even though it has its problems. I'm not quite sure I can justify spending $50 some odd, after shipping, on the Boomerang Micro, when you can go ahead and get the Boomerang Mini for not much more than that. So yeah, that's just a shootout. I'll have more mini and micro shootouts coming up, because I know there's a lot of people getting really interested in these, and I happen to find them to be quite compelling. Thanks for watching.